we're helping our friend James pick up his Ferrari.
Until about 9 o'clock this morning, I just felt like I was going to be sick.
Just got to Dick Lovett.
Having stared at it for the last 4 hours, it's quite frustrating. I was like, I just want to drive.
Oh my God. Dream car.
I just want to say a huge thanks, James, for having us along today. You didn't think we'd walk past all those cars and not show them to you, did you? Just got to Dick Lovett. Let's go and have a look around.
See, there's a Carrera GT upstairs, like an F50 over there. He didn't even notice it at first. See, there's an Enzo over there. It's just crazy.
Now, even though we've got the brand new Portofino M in the showroom and the F8 Tributo and of course that incredible TDF, for me, the car that has been attracting me from all of the modern cars is this Pista right here.
GT manufacturers, World Endurance Champion, Ferrari 2017, WEC Pro. It's got all of the carbon options, including the wheels, all carbon wheels.
Oh.
The carbon spoiler as well exposed. This is a bit of you, isn't it?
This is a bit of me right here. I think the only thing is if it was in white.
So what we have here, first of all, is we've got pretty much many people's favourite Ferrari, which is a Challenge Stradale. Not actually called a 360 Challenge Stradale, it's just a Challenge Stradale. Then next to it, of course, my car, the 430 Scuderia. And then next to it, we have F430 Spider, which is again in a very nice specification, actually with bucket seats in it. The idea is what I'm about to film is a fairly comprehensive technical video looking at all the many changes Ferrari made to turn this car into this car.
I'd never realised that there was a more aggressive ducktail.
Oh, on the Scud. Oh, there.
Yeah. It's very hard to tell because you look at one picture, you look at another picture, you're like, am I just seeing it or like is it really there? I know it is really there.
So much carbon in that engine bay. Oh, look at, oh my God, James.
Yeah, they went a little bit overboard on the old carbon.
No, they did not.
I think this feels a bit nicer inside. These are a little bit raw and ready. The thing was, when I was looking at all the reviews and stuff, people I've known that have had both of these cars tend to prefer this one. And the reason they cite is they're like, well, it's the louder, it's the more raw. No, that's why I want this one, because I don't want something that's super raw that I'm gonna have a great 45 minutes in and then be like, you know, by the time you've got home, which is what, 3 hours for me from here, you're like, I don't want to already hate it before it's home. So I'm gonna do a little sort of informal comparison. We're gonna do a little bit more filming with my Scuderia, and then we're gonna do a little bit talking about these other two cars.
In the meantime, while James is doing his filming, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and have a bit of a look around. Right, so we're getting to go upstairs and see what's up here. So we've got everything from the GR Yaris to this Senna, and this is the car that the internet seems to love the most at the moment, the GR Yaris. It seems like everyone says they are one of the best driving cars that you can get your hands on, and I really want to drive this car. But what I do notice about it, the paint colour on it kind of reminds me a little bit of 317 Nismo that we have. It's got that kind of pearl white, so it's not quite white, it's got that pearl effect to it that's really nice when you get close up under the lights.
So here we've got a 2011 Volkswagen Beetle. This is the GT3 RS 4.0. I love these cars. This was when they went into the 4-litre engine, but the way these things sound, this is when I really started to fall in love with the sound of 911s. I've never liked them before. I think the earlier turbos and stuff, I could never gel with the way they sound, but these high revving, naturally aspirated cars are just so cool. And I love all the aero additions. This was all pretty standard for the GT3 RS, but then obviously this extra design that they put on there and this interior spec, I'm pretty sure was all unique to the 4.0. I just think this car's so cool. I remember Chris Harris saying that he absolutely loved these things when I was watching one of his videos. I've never been the biggest Porsche guy. I have a lot of respect for them. Never been the biggest one, but what I've heard is it takes you to drive it for the first time to make that change. So hopefully we'll get that opportunity someday.
Do you know what I love? This intake, where it sits, just looks like it's just gulping up all the air.
And this cage, pure race car.
This car is the one for us, and to be honest, posing in front of it as if it's his own.
I wish.
But you know, as I always say, not yet. Everything's possible. The main reason is because there's a number plate on it. We don't want to get that in because this might actually be a customer car.
But just seeing it in person, it's just, I haven't seen one of these since I was a kid. I'm like really young, and we went to like some car show. It's the first time I'm properly getting to see it up close in person. It's epic.
And I just personally love the mesh over the top of the engine here. It allows you to see through it, almost tease you. You can see the suspension sort of sitting there, and even these knacker ducts just sitting on the inside, you can see that they're positioned exactly to sort of catch the air as it's sort of flowing along the top of the car.
And there's James's courtesy car finally leaving. One of the things I found so cool about these cars, obviously the manual box and wooden gear knob. It's not my personal cup of tea, but it just came in these cars and I just think it's so cool. So that's like a classic touch, isn't it?
And what I like about it is how it's so high up, so it's right next to the steering wheel. So when you want to change gear, your hand doesn't have to actually move that far. It's just like literally a short distance, as opposed to from up here and then all the way down. And this one happens to come with the official luggage with the wooden handle on top, matching the gear lever.
So this car is heavily inspired by motorsport. It has a V10 that was designed and derived for Formula 1 in the V10 era. They scrapped the project, so they thought, you know what, we've got this engine that is just sitting here and not being used. Let's build this crazy supercar to put it in, and that's how the Carrera GT came. That's why I love it, because it's got that motorsport pedigree and that heritage. I'm talking about motorsport. Right here we've got a 458 Challenge car. These things are awesome. They run in the Ferrari Challenge series. Obviously you've got center locks all around, complete flat floor with the carbon, and the biggest difference between the two is this massive Challenge wing, which is just so cool.
I know that the Senna is the Marmite car, but I absolutely love these. Wouldn't be the choice of colour for me, but everyone's an individual. But I do think that it really highlights the complexities in its aero design, which I personally like. As much as it's not a pretty car, I think it looks cool. Yeah, we were just commenting on how the wing mirror is on the car. It's literally bodywork coming out to here, and then it's mounted onto the side here. Now, if someone hits that, oh wow.
That's that whole panel. And yeah, and if you look at it from this angle, you can see how the mounting just looks crazy, because there's just this dead space in the middle where you think normally it's mounted off of somewhere on here on the car, but no, it's mounted all the way over there, which is awesome. I reckon that'd be pretty good for visibility, because it's mounted pretty wide on the car, so you could see pretty far past it when driving. But that is absolutely crazy.
Now we are in the main showroom, and this is one of the iconic cars of the 90s. I used to love this car, the F50.
Obviously these cars came out before I was born by a few years.
Okay, rub it in.
These. You were my age when this car came out. Fair enough. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
This car was produced between 95 and 97, so when they were sold. It's got a mid-mounted 4.7 litre naturally aspirated V12 that was actually derived from the 1990 Ferrari F1 car. There's obviously Ferrari are known for their racing heritage, and that this was the birth of Ferrari's modern like big boy car. It was from this, and then they did the Enzo, and then they did the LaFerrari, and then I'm sure before the V12 is killed off, they're probably going to bring out one more mid-engine V12. I hope so anyway. Obviously a lot of the design is inspired by the F40, but that had a twin-turbo V8, so this was a really iconic car for its time.
It's one of those cars I looked at and just think, how did this even happen? Still blown away that it even came into existence, but I'm so glad it did. And over here, the next sort of anniversary edition after the F50 was the Enzo. And even seeing this in the showroom was a surprise. I mean, these are around 2 million at the moment. I can't imagine how anyone would be able to even let go of it, to be honest.
This is probably the Ferrari with the most iconic name, Enzo, the name of the founder of Ferrari, made in memory obviously of the 10 years and in memory of his passing. So it's just such an iconic car in every way. Just the look of it, it was their first, like one of their big boy cars, as I like to call them, with the paddle shifts, because they'd all been manual before that. So it was really the start for a new generation for Ferrari. Decided to go into the kind of modern age of Ferrari. So this was a real stepping point for them. I think they did a lot of development and testing on this car, which then flowed over to the newer cars. A 6-litre naturally aspirated V12. It is one of the first big boy cars to have like the flappy paddle gearbox, so that's really cool to see, like F1 gearbox. And Ferrari did so much development on this car that passed on through. This engine was actually, a similar version was used in the 599. So a lot of people like to call the 599 the budget Enzo, because obviously it's front engined, but it's still a very similar V12. And I just love the looks of it. Look at the size of those brakes and the center locks and just the whole aggressiveness of the car. Like that F50 came out when you were like my age. Like this is kind of like the car that I grew up with. So no, this car is amazing. I've only ever seen this car in person once. I was really small, so it's such a special thing for me to see it in person.
We actually saw this in Brighton.
That's what it was.
Yeah, we were in Brighton, and it was for actually a Lamborghini event actually. Then Enzo decided to show up and shut the whole place down.
It looks a lot smaller now. Maybe I'm just a bit bigger.
And I just want to say a huge thanks, James, for having us along today. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of this.
You really like it. It feels very special. Like, but also crucially, like I actually even wound up driving it most of the time. I didn't even put it in the soft suspension setting, and they're not the best roads either. So like, actually, the car is exactly what I need it to be.
I'm just beaming for you. So, if you've enjoyed today, make sure you first check out JayEmm's video on this whole experience. And if you're here because he sent you here, thank you very much for joining us. And if you've enjoyed today, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon, choose notifications on all videos, and we'll see you next time on Sports and Touring.